Gigan Showa versus Gipsy Danger by Raids again.
Boo.
It was only two.
Bees.
It was only 2 years ago. The Great Battle of the Breach, as history now called it. It was a defining moment for man. The Kaiju apocalypse had been canceled thanks to the heroic actions of the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. The world was finally able to recover. Thoughts of walled coastlines were replaced by total reconstruction of cities attacked by the onslaught of kaiju. As life resumed, the threat of kaiju slowly retreated into the backs of everyone's minds. People began to worry about smaller things in life: jobs, bills, new cars, friends, etc. So only a small percentage of the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps remained functional, and on this day, everyone would be glad they did. A radar contact appeared. After the 2 years of silence, something large was detected, but it wasn't something from the sea. No, this object was descending from the sky. It was large, far larger than the dreadful Otachi and Leatherback that decimated 2 Jaegers in Hong Kong. Strangely, readings detected traces of metal within its biological body. This wasn't an ordinary kaiju. Pass.
Category 4, Codename, Gigan. The thing landed in the heart of Hong Kong during its busiest hours. As the sun shined brightly overhead, plumes of black smoke quickly outstretched high. There was no time to evacuate the metropolis, and it was no coincidence that the cyborg had landed in the very city that housed the command center of the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. It was totally unlike any other kaiju the world had ever seen. It was humanoid, chickenoid, standing on 2 large legs tipped with metallic claws. Its arms had no hands, instead ending in gigantic curved claws. Like the claws on the opposite side of a common hammer, it also had a tail tipped with a large metallic spike. Numerous triangular blades adorned its front side, and 3 fin-like sails clanged on its back. It was a multitude of colors, with its limbs in a dull mixture of green and blue, and chest and stomach adorned with overlapping golden scales. Its face was the most bizarre feature, having not a pair of eyes but a single glowing visor. A mohawk of metallic spikes stretched over its skull, and its mouth was but a toothed beak surrounded by a pair of clanging metal mandibles. A shrill sound, like that of a buzzsaw, escaped its deranged muzzle. Gigan lashed out with his claws, pummeling the skyscrapers around it. Buildings began to fall by many as it made a direct line for the command center. Helicopters began to appear all around it, pelting the monster with firepower, but no amount of punishment hindered its terrible onslaught. Its cry echoed again, filling the streets as wave after wave of dust and debris engulfed entire blocks. Pass.
It pushed through the skyscrapers until it could see its target. Gigan spread its deadly arms and roared its terrible noises. However, its cackling cry was interrupted. A blue blur smashed into its face from the side. The cyborg stumbled to the side, its tail bracing it before it could fall. Its crimson visor eye looked, seeing its attacker readying another fist to pummel it. This is what it had been ordered to destroy, the last great defense of this world. A perfect recreation of the ultimate savior that closed the breach. It was Gipsy Danger. The humanoid robot lashed out, but Gigan brought up its claw and deflected the blow. Its leg then came up, kicking the Mark III Jaeger's gut. Gipsy backed away, bracing itself with its own foot before swinging outward with another clobbering strike, hitting Gigan's beak. The cyborg spun on its heels, stretching out its arms and then using them like helicopter blades, repeatedly slamming them into Gipsy Danger. After several strikes, the machine fell onto its rear. Gigan shrieked, stopping its spinning attack. It leaped into the air and came down, aiming to drive its curved claws into the face of its man-made enemy. Gipsy Danger brought up her elbows, protecting its face and pilots from the attack. As Gigan backed away, shrieking loudly, the blades on its abdomen began to move. They became a blur, acting as the teeth of a saw. The cyborg simply fell. Just in the nick of time, Gipsy Danger rolled out of the way. The Jaeger dropped her arms, extending her trademark swords from her wrists. Pass.
Wait,
Again,
robots have genders?
Did you just assume its gender?
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, well, sometimes it says her and then it says it.
so we don't know.
It's a hurt.
It's a hit.
Gigan cackled, standing upright. Gipsy lashed out, but Gigan blocked the strike with its own weapons. It then retaliated, swinging its other claw from the side. Gypsy's opposite arm rose up, clanging the sword against Gigan's arm while, at the same time, lifting her foot and pushing the monster away. The cyborg cackled in fury before a rocket-boosted impact broke Gypsy's blade into its chest. The sword tore through Gigan's inner workings before exploding out of its back, between its center and outer sail. The blade tore out, spewing a strange black fluid across Gypsy's body. The cyborg cackled, instantly bringing down both its claws into its opponent's shoulders. The sheer impact made the Jaeger's knees buckle. The machine collapsed with a whine as Gigan's claws raided in another devastating impact. However, as it lifted its claws, Gypsy's blade returned to Gigan's body, thrusting between the teeth of its saw. The saw kicked to life, but the sword was wedged. The Jaeger began to pull, but the sword was stuck. Sparks began to erupt from the cyborg's jaws as Gipsy Danger struggled. After numerous moments, the blade suddenly snapped in half. Gigan's saw spouted bits and pieces of the teeth cut through what remained. Gigan stepped forward, driving the whirring saw into Gipsy Danger's upper torso. Plasma cannon! Pass.
As what little was left of the sword detached from the machine's hand, its hand began to shift. A blue glow gathered in its palm as its fingers transformed into a gun-like form. Blasts of burning plasma pelted Gigan's body as it tried to cut Gipsy Danger to pieces. Its deadly attack was ceased as it was forced backward. Each impact leaving black burns and glowing embers on the monster's body. Gipsy Danger climbed back to her feet. The wound carved from her left shoulder to her midsection, spewing sparks, fire, and electrical circuit. Gigan shrieked, jumping into the air. The Jaeger followed its movement, lifting its plasma cannon just as Gigan flew overhead. Another quick blast hit the cyborg's stomach, causing it to come crashing down onto the dock. The cyborg's limbs flailed about as Gipsy Danger began to empty its clip, pumping round after round of plasma power at the fallen kaiju. Parts of Gigan's body began to sizzle and burn, spewing fire from the crater-like impacts the rounds were starting to leave. A hole was blown through the monster's 3 sails, and one of its mandibles was shattered, leaving a broken bit of metal lapping its beak. Gipsy Danger lowered her gun as her hand reformed and deposited of the empty clip.
Disposed.
Gigan. Oh, dispose. Gigan continued to flail about, its body steaming and burning. Jaeger lifted her sword, but Gigan suddenly catapulted into the air. Her blade came down to nothing but the ground. The cyborg landed with a thud, a broken cry escaping its mangled mouth. Gigan turned around, giving its opponent one final glance before leaping. Pass.
Gipsy realized it was trying to escape. The Jaeger rushed in, jumping at Gigan's legs before it could get out of reach. Her hands were wrapped around Gigan's feet, dragging the monster back to the ground. The cyborg landed with a colossal thud that split the very foundation of the docks. Gipsy lifted her sword, preparing to decapitate the kaiju. However, Gigan's own claws swiped up, catching the blade between them. With a quick twist, the sword was snapped at the midsection. Wow, that was easy. The blade flew to the side as Gipsy backed away, transforming her other hand into its cannon. Gigan stood up, cleaning its claws together and marching towards its opponent. Just as the hand finished shifting, both of Gigan's claws came down on the elbow. A sickening break was followed by a booming explosion. Gipsy Danger's arm was broken in half. A shower of sparks sprayed across Gigan's face as the Jaeger stumbled away without her arm. Gigan leaned forward, its buzzsaw kicking the life. Gipsy Danger thrust the stump of its arm forward, driving it into the whirling blades. The teeth grinded to a stop as massive amounts of inner workings jammed the deadly weapon. Piss.
Gigan's claws reached out, driving the tip of the gauge at the robot's shoulders. Geysers of sparks erupted from the impact as she reached out, using her other arm to lock around Gigan's neck. She pulled its face close, Gigan's one grasp, trying to escape as the temperature within Gipsy Danger's increased. Firing glow built before Gigan's eye. The cyborg seemed to know what was happening. It lifted its claws out of the Jaeger's reach and began bludgeoning apart the machine it hit, but it was futile. A faint sound came from the Jaeger for a brief second before everything was bright. A powerful nuclear reactor began to vent straight into Gigan's trapped gay. Gigan's thrashing began to cease. His arms dropped from Gypsy's side. A plume of fire and smoke erupted from his head. It was pressed against Gypsy's core. The vent climbed through Gigan's face, blowing its entire head and out. Just the area with bits of alien flesh. Gigan released her opponent. Or Gypsy released her opponent. See, there it is again. Is it a her or an it? Allowing the headless carcass to fall flat on its back, the alien threat was vanished, or vanquished. The vent flow of nuclear fire slowly came to a stop, leaving the battle-damaged Gipsy Danger standing alone. Above the mangled remains of the interstellar cyborg that had come. Fuck, my voice changed there. Anyway, winner, Gipsy.
Alright. So, honestly, yeah. Like, as a 1v1 match, it's it's hard for me to say that this one's strongly memorable. It's just kind of standard fare, and I think it could have benefited greater from a more narrative structured story, especially when you're working with Gipsy Danger. You honestly had a golden opportunity to create more of a narrative out of it. I'm not saying you always have to make a narrative with the KWCE, but I just do feel like
it's preferable if you want to make it memorable.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And in this case, the fighting's okay, but it doesn't really...
No, not this time. So, well, now it's recording, but
it doesn't wow.
Okay, crap.
Like, it's alright.
Yeah.
Also, Gipsy Danger kind of comes out of nowhere. There's no setup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially considering she kind of, detonated in the previous... Well, they detonated her in another dimension, even.
Right.
So,
but they say that this was a recreation.
Right. I mean, it was stated that it was a recreation, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like
That
it was
doesn't
just
seem
kind
like
of...
enough.
Right.
Yeah.
There just should have been more setup to using Pacific Rim characters. Had this been a kaiju, we might have been... Like, a Pacific Rim kaiju, I think we would have been alright, but...
Like Pacific Rim Kaiju are specifically going to just show up out of nowhere. Like, oh shit, here they are.
Yeah.
Well, here's also the problem. Because it's set after the movie, you're going to need to establish that the breach is somehow opened up again. If you want to do a Pacific Rim Kaiju, set Gipsy Dangerous.
Right.
You're going to need to set that up.
I would also counter that you don't maybe need the breach because Gigan, this is alluded to, is just a creature of space that descended.
Yeah.
The problem with this is Pacific Rim is as much about the monster's action as it is the characters inside the monster reacting and acting with each other to beat the monster. And that's why I think the story is also lacking is you don't get the feeling of the two pilots within Gipsy actually fighting. You just get a note here or there for some reason. You just get like a plasma cannon all of a sudden.
You only get like
Pieces
of dialogue, two random pieces of dialogue that aren't attached to any characters, and it's just like...
Correct.
Yeah, it is just like, that's just, it doesn't really convey the sense of, oh yeah, there are two people piloting this thing. It's just treating Gipsy Danger as a mech, as opposed to, two people controlling one body, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, alright, I'll pass, okay, Great Shot, if you have any other thoughts to elaborate on, go ahead.
The only other thing I'll say is I do like the image that you have in the... You created your own banner for this, which is actually pretty good in regards to Gigan vs. Gipsy Danger. If you're listening to the video and you check it out on the site, he did make a KWC-esque banner for it, and it looks pretty cool.
He'll probably have it as the
I agree.
picture.
It'll
with the
be
video
the
or
picture. Like
thumbnail.
You mean
any
thumbnail?
of the KWCE matches that have banners made, I'll use the banners for the images. So
Good choice, good choice.
but yeah,
Deserve.
yeah, Deserve.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I'm pretty much in agreement with everybody with what we've already said so far. I mean, I think it's a decent match. I agree that we could have used some little bit more character development, especially for the two pilots, since they're essentially non-characters, and that's kind of the point with the Jaeger system. And then the action, I don't think it's bad per se, but it just kind of feels, I don't know, a bit generic. Like I almost want to say that like we're kind of going through the motions, so to speak. So
It's not an experience.
All right, Birdman, your thoughts?
Alright, okay. I usually enjoy MMA matches. Scandalous, I know. But I don't really enjoy this one. It might have something to do with Pacific Rim. I didn't like that movie. Sue me. I hate Pacific Rim.
Oh.
All right, I'll see you in court then, motherfucker.
I don't really have much to say. It was okay, a decent match, but most points can be sung up by everyone else already.
All right. Joe?
I thought it was an alright match. I thought the fight was fun, and though I do agree that it could have had more things to do with the characters, and, you know, it doesn't even say who the pilots are.
Mm-hmm.
It just says the pilots. So, is it Mako and the main character? I forget his name.
Raleigh.
Or are these two different characters?
What if it's just a person called the pilot? Like the first name the, last name pilot.
Yeah, pilot.
The pilot.
It's thing 1 and thing 2.
No, customer service up shit.
Okay, that's pretty great.
Wonderful.
One problem I have with the match is that sometimes it'll call Gipsy a her, sometimes it'll call her an it,
That's
and Gigan's also called an it.
all right.
And
This was technically before I was notified of the whole idea of, oh yeah, by the way, it and, you know, like you just can't jump between it, he, and she, if that makes sense. Like, keep it consistent.
It does sound problematic though, reading out loud.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of distracting.
Oh, right.
yeah.
So, I'm gonna try, like, you know, with all future endeavors, I always try to keep it consistent to this is a he, this is a she, this is an it's and they. Are it's and theys considered the same thing, or are they different too?
Depends on who you talk to, but it's is more of a singular thing, and they is more of a plural thing, I think.
Okay. All right. Just
in terms of addressing things, though, unless people, if you mean in terms of like gender, in terms of speaking to real people, they probably prefer they over it. But with kaiju, either one's fine.
Okay.
Honestly,
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
And that segue. Oh, sorry.
It's just that I kind of want consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is fine. That is totally fine. I understand.
My turn?
Yes, Harley, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. I'm pretty much in agreement with everyone else here. Really could have done with well, before I do that, I want to go over what I liked first. Well, I really did like the fighting when it was happening. I really loved the visual image of Guy just on fire and spitting smoke and sparks everywhere. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was okay. The fight was okay, but it was just okay. Like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It wasn't good either. The pilot, really, the biggest downside is that there were just no pilots. Like the pilots didn't have any character, and they weren't reacting to everything. Especially when Gypsy Danger's arm got ripped off, and I know for a fact, like that was actually in the movie where Gypsy Danger's arms get ripped off, and they're like, "It's not your real arm! It's not your real arm! Calm down!" Like, they made a big deal out about that,
Mm-hmm.
and to see that sort of lag, it just really like sucked away a lot of the drama and tension. Yeah. I really didn't feel compared. I really didn't feel compelled to care for Gypsy Danger because they were just two nobodies piloting it. I guess.
Yeah, you could probably just replace Gypsy Danger with Mechagodzilla and it'd be the same.
Yeah, that's the thing. You really could have just. Gypsy Danger was just there for the novelty of it, and it didn't feel like it should be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah. So overall, not one of your best. No,
okay,
not getting Ghost
over
Godzilla.
Alex. Okay.
I think Great Shot just wanted to get that out there. Alex, your turn.
Yep.
Okay. Well, like the previous match, it was kind of bland.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight itself, it just wasn't that good because, well, one, it wasn't memorable. Two, and there's no stake or emotional stake for characters. It's implied to be set in the Pacific universe, right?
I mean, Gypsy Danger there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it mentioned the Pacific program or whatever.
And
yeah, there's
The Defense Corps.
And they do actually label Gigan. They do actually label Gigan.
Category 4.
Category 4. Label Gigan. Codename Gigan, yep.
True. But, like I said, it's like Grayshaw kind of said, kind of need those characters associated with Pacific Rim to react, or
just have two pilots. Just have two random pilots and give them a bit of character. That's all you need.
well, it's not just that. I mean, the people in the headquarters or whatever, when they first identify the kaiju, it's like, shouldn't people be shocked to see a kaiju coming out of space instead of water?
I'd be more honestly. I think they'd be more shocked if by the whole cybernetic thing than the whole space thing.
Yeah.
Well, both factors would have to come
Why
into
not
play because
both?
it's like we're looking at a totally different kind of kaiju. They're registering it as a kaiju for obvious reasons, but it's like the properties of what makes a kaiju in this universe are completely different. So it's like
I would completely sorry.
That's okay.
I would completely expect them to be like, guys, we're getting a lot of like metallic readings from this. I think this thing's like a cyborg or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like just something to indicate that Gypsy Danger is finding something that might be above the level they're used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like this match is implying that Guy gets like the first Godzilla kaiju to be in the specific universe.
Right.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Uh-huh,
I
right.
mean, it's the first kaiju after the incident of the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the main problem with this, along with the two not having any actual characters, is the lack of building. This match could have benefited from some serious.
Yeah.
Because it's really, yeah, like I said, it's bland.
Mm-hmm.
It needs something. It feels like it's going there. It feels like it's going through all the motions, but there's nothing driving. It's like a car. It's like a self-driving car. You know, like it'll go through all the motions, but it's not. It'll go through all the motions just fine, but there's like nothing behind it, nothing controlling it. So
There's no payoff.
There's no payoff. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
Gypsy Danger won, yay.
Again, I think this match just feels like someone going, "Ooh, I want to see a Godzilla here in a Pacific Rim fight." That's kind of all it is, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good premise, poor, not the best execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's world building and
I think
characters.
the obvious Gipsy Danger was going to win too.
Yeah, because
Right.
Gigan can never win. Not even the KWCE.
Yeah.
That and it'd actually be interesting if Gigan won.
It-
Because see,
I mean, if Gigan won, the whole world would explode.
where I'm going with what I'm thinking when I first saw the match on my first thought was, oh okay, are they going to think Gigan's like a kaiju? Because I fully believe they would buy that. They would think that if someone maybe this is like their attempt to recreate a Jaeger. Once they realize Gigan's like a cyborg, obviously.
Right.
That gives me a good idea.
There you go.
Oh no, you maniacs.
Oh no, what have I done?
All right. Yeah, and with
Oh no.
Right, and with that said, Thing 1 and Thing 2 are apparently the pilots for Gipsy Danger, and we will see you guys next time for the third KWCE match, Ultraman X versus Gigan Millennium and Monster X. Until then, folks.
Yeah, another match where Gigan loses.
Yay!
Hooray.